So that is part of the trailer for a new film about man's first trip to the moon, providing a sneak peek at a glaring omission that has surfaced, not on the surface of the moon. Something was missing, America's most iconic symbol, the American flag. And everyone remembers that incredible moment and the images that were sent back to Earth of the planting of the flag on the moon. My next guest argues that Americans have a right to be proud of Neil Armstrong's strides and says, quote, pride in American accomplishments should not be a partisan affair. Here now, Jonah Goldberg, National Review senior editor and Fox News contributor. Jonah, welcome. Good to have you with us tonight.
Always great to be here.
You know, I mean, it's really a head scratcher to imagine why you would be able to tell a fuller story about what was going on inside Neil Armstrong's head, which is what the filmmaker, who's very successful, he did La La Land and now he's doing this with Ryan Gosling. He claims that, you know, somehow that would have detracted from it in some way.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a bunch of different ways to interpret this. One, you know, it could be just simply, you know, China doesn't like a lot of pro-America stuff, and if you take the flag out, it might sell a few extra, you know, $1 million worth over there. But I think the real, you know, the real problem is that there's this unbelievable reluctance to just do the sort of basic, old-fashioned pride in American accomplishments thing. I think the filmmakers are exactly right. Ryan Gosling is exactly right. This was viewed around the world as a human accomplishment. And that's something that Americans should take pride in. It was a global accomplishment. It was an accomplishment for all of mankind, as it says on the plaque. You know, one step for man, one giant step for mankind. Yeah. But it was also deeply rooted in the, you know, in sort of the American, you know, miracle that we're all sort of part of. And there was only one country in the world that could have done this. And the real point of the column was that I think liberals are the ones who should have been much more outraged by all of this. I mean, every single Democratic president of my lifetime loves to do these, if we could put a man on the moon, we can have universal health care. We can do this, we can do that. Barack Obama did it all the time, talking about Sputnik moments and all of that. Well,
that's right.
Every successful Democratic president in the 20th century was a dedicated nationalist, and to one extent or another. You know, Bill Clinton, John Kerry, Joe Biden, they all got into politics largely because of JFK, and he was a nationalist.
Understood, but here's sort of the elephant in the room, so to speak, right? That something about patriotism and flags, you know, seems to have some connection to Donald Trump, at least in Hollywood right now. That patriotism has become sort of a dirty word. I mean, you know, you have talked about populism being a negative thing. You're talking about nationalism being a positive thing, but people, you know, the definition between nationalism and patriotism. I mean, you know, is this an anti-Trump move in this movie? Is that what it's really about?
Well, there might be some of that, but to be honest, you know, Hollywood has had this sort of cosmopolitan point of view for a very long time. You know, I remember one of the previous Superman movies, you know, he sort of renounces his American citizenship, becomes a citizen of the world, and I think that happened on Obama's watch. This is a constant strain, and my point is that if liberals want to do ambitious things, most of which I disagree with, they're going to have to draw on something other than pride in being, you know, bipedal humanoids. You know, you can't just say, you know, human pride is going to do all these things. You have to take pride in being an American. I'm not a big fan of nationalism. I like patriotism. I think there is a difference. But I think the right is going too far with the nationalists. But one of the reasons they're doing it is because the left has given up any notions of patriotism whatsoever.
As Marco Rubio said, this is total lunacy and a disservice at a time when our people need reminders of what we can achieve when we work together. He said the American people paid for the mission. The rockets were built by Americans with American technology and carrying American astronauts. It was not a UN mission to the moon. Jonah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you tonight.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So still to come on the story, President Trump about to take the stage in